Way, 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 way. Wake up with Wake.
That's a lot of time. Well, if I can overcome myself at the beginning of the day, the rest of my day is easy, right?
That's what you do. You spend 2 hours in the morning.
I allow for 2 hours.
Okay. You still get up at 4 a.m. and that.
Well, this morning I was up at 3.
Okay.
Because I'm on the wrong time zone.
Right.
But if
you
I'm up,
you like the 4 a.m. slot
because my brain waves are just right. I don't have to work as hard. Yeah, my body's a little fatigued, but I'm between worlds. And so I my body's a little tired, but I get up and do it. And to me, I allow for 2 hours. Sometimes I can nail it in 45 minutes or an hour, and sure, I'm done. Other times, I'm on the wrong time zone. I have meetings all day long, got a lot going on, and I'm just not going to fall prey to that common state of thinking.
and that looks like meditation, affirmations in your mind, visualization.
It's the work that we do. It's the work that we do. And the first part in truly creating a new personal reality is overcoming your present personality. You got to get beyond the normal thinking patterns, the normal urges of action and habits, to get beyond certain emotions that are residuals from the day before. That's the work right there. That's the part you have to overcome. So some days you just kind of slip in and it's magic because you've been practiced, like having a great golf game or a great tennis game or a great run or a great session of knitting. You're in your groove. Other days you got to work a little bit more for it. And for me, what I've learned is those hard days, the days that are the most challenging, are always the most rewarding, because now you're uncompromising to an outcome. And if it takes you an hour to get beyond yourself, to find the present moment, because that's the only place where the unknown exists, the familiar emotions and hardwired patterns of the past are the known, the predictable future in trying to forecast the feeling of every event in our life that people do unconsciously is also the known. There's only one place where the unknown exists, and that's the present moment.
You call it the generous present moment.
Yeah, and I've just done it enough times, and there are plenty of people in our work that have done it enough times to know when you're there and when you're not.
Okay.
And when you're not, it's very obvious because you've been there enough times. So
you're separating your old story from yourself, and you're separating your focus on the future, and you're being present.
It's just like hitting a tennis ball in a sweet spot. You lock into something, and that wholeness starts to happen, and now you're no longer creating from polarity or duality or opposites. People they create when they see they don't have something. Whether, hey, nice suit, I want one of those, right? And the moment I see that you have a nice suit and I start thinking, I want one of those, my brain naturally starts putting me in the equation. Next thing you know, I'm wearing your suit. Well, that's because we're wired to do that. So then we have this natural ability to create. The problem is after you imagine that, you open your eyes and you don't have it, people experience more lack. Well, we're not that good yet. So then the act of practicing enough times and beginning to create the state in which you're so connected to the energy of your future. Now think about this. You're so connected to the energy of your future, you're no longer looking for it or waiting for it. You feel like it's already happened. The moment you get upset in traffic, the moment you start judging a coworker, you just disconnected from the energy of your future, and now you're back to the energy of your past. Now, if you tell me it was that person that did it to you, I'd say to you, oh, you're back to the unconscious program of being a victim again. So then the person then goes, oh, when did I fall from, that state? When did I lose it? Oh, it happened at 3 o'clock today. The next time that happens, what can I do differently? Now the person's moving through their challenges in their life with coherence, with rhythm. They're starting to begin to make strides, and that they're no longer knee-jerking to the people in their life that they've used emotionally to reaffirm their identity. Now, this is the work because You look around to see if anybody's doing it. And you don't see anybody else doing it. It's kind of this kind of lonely moment where you're realizing that I'm the only one doing this. That's that kind of moment that you realize that nobody understands you but you, right? And you can't even ask your friends for their opinion because they're going to give you their opinion based on their own experiences. And it's that kind of moment where you have to draw in all your resources and begin to make up your mind. And I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of people that have healed themselves from all kinds of health conditions. And one of the most important elements that I see over and over again is when a person said, I just got to this point in my life where I made up and find your center. Inhale. Become aware of your breath. And exhale. And relax. Instead of the memories of the past, it's time to be defined by a vision of the future. And to move into a new state of being. Now, can you become aware of the space between your ears in space? And now, can you sense the space beyond your ears? In space. And can you move your attention to the space in the center of the energy of space around your throat, beyond your neck, behind your breastbone in space. And can you feel the volume of space beyond your shoulders in space? And now, can you sense the space between your shoulders and the room you're in space? Can you become aware that you're aware in space? And now, what was that vision of the future that awaits you? Be defined by that intention and select that potential that already exists in the field. Being defined by a vision of the future instead of the memory of the past means that you're ahead of your time. Take your hand and place it over your heart. In a moment, take a breath and have compassion and care, kindness towards your beautiful self, giving thanks if in fact you emulated the divine today and made contact with it, that you ask for a sign, and that it bring it to you in a way that you least expect, that surprises you, and that it leaves no doubt that it came from this mind. Inspired to do it again and again when it finds you in unexpected ways. And now bring your awareness back to a new body. To a new environment. Into a whole new time. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
I stood yesterday, I can stand today, by Dorothy Dix. I've been through the depths of poverty and sickness. When people ask me what's kept me going through all the troubles that come to all of us, I always reply, I stood yesterday, I can stand today. And I will not permit myself to think about what might happen tomorrow. I have known want and struggle and anxiety and despair. I've always had to work beyond the limit of my strength. As I look back upon my life, I see it as a battlefield strewn with the wrecks of dead dreams and broken hopes and shattered illusions, a battle in which I always fought with the odds tremendously against me, and which has left me scarred and bruised and maimed and old before my time. Yet I have no pity for myself, no tears to shed over the past and gone sorrows, no envy for the women who have been spared all I've gone through, for I have lived, they only existed. I have drunk the cup of life down to its very dregs. They have only sipped the bubbles on top of it. I know things they will never know. I see things to which they are blind. It is only the women whose eyes have been washed clear with tears who get the broad vision that makes them little sisters to all the world. I have learned in the great University of Hard Knocks a philosophy that no woman who has had an easy life ever acquires. I have learned to live each day as it comes, not to borrow trouble by dreading the morrow. It is the dark menace of the picture that makes cowards of us. I put that dread from me because experience has taught me that when the time comes that I so fear, the strength and wisdom to meet it will be given me. Little annoyances no longer have the power to affect me. After you've seen your whole edifice of happiness topple and crash in ruins about you, it never matters to you again that a servant forgets to put the doilies under the finger bowls or the cook spills the soup. I have learned not to expect too much of people, and so I can still get happiness out of the friend who isn't quite true to me or the acquaintance who gossips. Above all, I have acquired a sense of humor, because there were so many things over which I had either to cry or laugh. And when a woman can joke over her troubles instead of having hysterics, nothing can ever hurt her much again. I do not regret the hardships I have known, because through them I have touched life at every point I have lived, and it was worth the price I had to pay. Dorothy Dix conquered worry by living in day-tight compartments. I did not expect to live to see the dawn by J.C. Penney. On April 14, 1902, a young man with $500 in cash and $1 million in determination opened a dry goods store in Kemmerer, Wyoming, a little mining town of 1,000 people situated on the old covered wagon trail laid out by the Lewis and Clark expedition. That young man and his wife lived in a half-story attic above the store, using a large empty dry goods box for a table and smaller boxes for chairs. The young wife wrapped her baby in a blanket and let it sleep under a counter while she stood beside it, helping her husband wait on customers. Today, the largest chain of dry goods stores in the world bears that man's name, the J.C. Penney stores, over 1,600 of them, covering every state in the Union. I recently had dinner with Mr. Penney, and he told me about the most dramatic moment of his life. Years ago, I passed through a most trying experience. I was worried and desperate. My worries were not connected in any way whatever with the J.C. Penney Company, and that business was solid and thriving. But I personally had made some unwise commitments prior to the crash of 1929. Like many other men, I was blamed for conditions for which I was in no way responsible. I was so harassed with worries that I couldn't sleep and developed an extremely painful ailment known as the shingles, a red rash and skin eruptions. I consulted a physician, a man with whom I'd gone to high school as a boy in Hamilton, Missouri, Dr. Elmer Eggleston, a staff physician at the Kellogg Sanitarium in Battle Creek, Michigan. Dr. Eggleston put me to bed and warned me that I was a very ill man. A rigid treatment was prescribed, but nothing helped. I got weaker day by day. I was broken nervously and physically, filled with despair, unable to see even a ray of hope. I had nothing to live for. I felt I hadn't a friend left in the world, that even my family had turned against me. One night, Dr. Eggleston gave me a sedative, but the effect soon wore off, and I awoke with an overwhelming conviction that this was my last night of life. Getting out of bed, I wrote farewell letters to my wife and to my son, saying that I did not expect to live to see the dawn. When I awoke the next morning, I was surprised to find that I was still alive. Going downstairs, I heard singing in a little chapel where devotional exercises were held each morning. I can still remember the hymn they were singing, "God will take care of you." Going into the chapel, I listened with a weary heart to the singing, the reading of the scripture lesson, and the prayer. Suddenly, something happened. I can't explain it. I can only call it a miracle. I felt as if I had been instantly lifted out of the darkness of a dungeon into warm, brilliant sunlight. I felt as if I'd been transported from hell to paradise. I felt the power of God as I had never felt it before. I realized then that I alone was responsible for all my troubles. I knew that God, with His love, was there to help me. From that day to this, my life has been free from worry. I am 71 years old, and the most dramatic and glorious 20 minutes of my life were those I spent in that chapel that morning. God will take care of you. J.C. Penney learned to overcome worry almost instantaneously because he discovered the one perfect cure.
But you know that it's good, girl, 'cause it's running you with rain.
Started falling. We were stuck out in your car. You were rubbing both my hands, chewing on a candy bar. And it's just like the present to be showing up like this. As the moon waned to crescent, we started to kiss. And I said, I know it well.
That secret that we know,
But we don't know how to tell. I'm in love with your honor. I'm in love with your cheeks. Was that noise up the stairs, baby? That Christmas morning creep. I know it well. I know it well. I know it well.